All right, welcome to the show. US Open 2023 is here, and I am here with the slice to give you the slice on the tournament. We got the men's and women's draws here that we're going to break down. We've marked them up, we've made our notes, and there's big stories. On the men's, Carlos Alcaraz on the top as the number one seed, Djokovic on the bottom. Is it a two-man race? And does Djokovic have an easier draw than Alcaraz? It sure looks like he does. We're going to get into that. And we've got Swiatek and Coco Gauff in the same quarter on the women's draw. They just played each other in Cincinnati. Coco Gauff came on top, and they might play again here at the U.S. Open. So many storylines, so much to get into. So let's not waste any more time, and let's get into it. Welcome to the slice. Okay, people, welcome to the show, The Slice. I will be, breaking news, I will be in New York for the middle weekend with my beautiful wife, Nicole, to hang out in New York, watch a bit of tennis, and really get the vibe on the ground in New York. So wish me luck there. We don't have a press pass. Unfortunately, major tennis is still not respecting online YouTube modern media, you guys. So that will change in the future. But for now, no credential so far. But we're going to be in New York. Big news, though. A study just came out. A big study in the world of science just came out that shows that if you subscribe to the slice, you become a better tennis player instantly. It's a weird correlation, but you just all of a sudden start to play more like Carlitos Alcaraz. You're more able to do slides like this. Anyways, thanks for subscribing. And I'm excited to announce that we have a big giveaway time with our friends at GEAU Sport. They are the makers of the greatest tennis bag on earth. We've got their logo up here, and we're giving away their premium bag, their Axiom Racquet Bag 12-pack, which has 12 racket capacity, as you might have guessed, a customizable organization within the main compartment. I use a GEAU Sport bag right now. It's black, it's sleek. And you know that problem when you throw your keys and phone and wallet into your tennis bag and then you just have to look through everything to get it at the end of the round or the end of the match, and it's really frustrating. I haven't had that problem in years because I use a GEAU Sport and they have like a perfectly situated little pocket for everything. So to enter the giveaway with GEAU Sport, you need to do three things. You need to click the link below and enter your email in the contact form on GEAU Sport website. Enter your email on the website, subscribe to The Slice, and subscribe to the GEAU Sport YouTube channel, links below, and you're in. It's that simple, and the winner will be chosen at the end of the US Open. And shout out to AG1, the official nutritional drink of The Slice. As you know, click the link below if you want to try out daily nutritional health and routines. Get around it. Anyways, let's get into it. The draws are out. The storyline, as you've all seen it, we all look at who's on the top, who's on the bottom. We've got Alcaraz on the top. Let's just put it, we'll put it on the screen here, but I've got it on my trusty clipboard here. We've got Alcaraz. You can't see that. You've got Alcaraz, Sinner, Medvedev, and Rublev on the top. And then you've got Djokovic, Tsitsipas, Rune, and Ruud on the bottom. Now, at first glance, without any context, that looks fairly evenly spread. But in my opinion, the top four threats to win this title, the top two are Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz, obviously. The next two are Daniil Medvedev, former champion, and I would say Jannik Sinner, based on how he played in Toronto. Not so much in Cincinnati. He was tired. We'll give him a free pass for that loss. But three of those players are on the top. One of them is on the bottom. So I think Alcaraz has a much tougher draw than Djokovic. And but I'm conflicted. There's two ways to think about this. You can look at the difficulties of the draw, and you can say Djokovic has an advantage because he has less serious contenders to play on the way to the final. But you could also look at it as in reality or in a different way and say this is a two-man race. This is really Carlos Alcaraz versus Novak Djokovic. We just got one of the most insane ATP matches we've ever seen in history happen in the Cincinnati finals. And everyone in the tennis world is saying Yes, please. I'll take another slice of that. So really, unless one of them loses, they're going to both be in the final, and we'll see that again for the second major in a row. But it's obviously, I don't think it's that easy. So that's another way to look at it. There's two guys who are clear ahead of everyone else. I think that is true, but I do know it's the US Open. This is where dreams are made and upsets happen, and there's a lot on the line. For Carlos, on the line is he's the defending champ. Carlos has never defended a major before. He's never had to. This is the first time he's playing a major that he's won before, and he currently holds the US Open title. Extra pressure on him. Djokovic is here this year. There's no more bogus vaccine travel rules. Djokovic is here, and he's here to come, and he has something to prove, I believe. Like he showed in the Cincinnati final, he's not going anywhere. He came from behind there, and he took it to Alcaraz, and he won that match. Super close match. I do think Alcaraz got distracted, lost focus in the second set, and let Djokovic back into that match a little. But once he did, Djokovic showed why he's got way more experience and way more tricks up his sleeve than these younger guys. So he's got a lot to prove in this tournament as well. So both of them got a lot on their plates, but a little bit more pressure on Alcaraz. Maybe at least Djokovic is so used to having pressure. This is nothing new for him. He's had more levels of pressure than anyone in tennis history, probably on the men's side. So that's that. Let's go through the draws as normal. We're going to take a look at quarter by quarter. We're going to look at the dark horses. We're going to look at the really good first round and potential matchups, and we are going to break it all down. So let's get into it. Here is the men's draw. In the Alcaraz quarter, the top quarter, we've got Alcaraz, obviously. We've got Sinner, like I said, the number 6 seed in his quarter. So they could play in the quarterfinals here. To get there, though, let's just take a look at Alcaraz's run. Carlos is going to play Dominic Koepfer, who has had some little streaks at majors before, has been a dangerous player. So if Alcaraz is off his game, that could get a little tricky. Then he could play Lloyd Harris, who, again, has been a very dangerous player in the past, has had some serious injury troubles, though, so might not be as big of an issue right now. But, again, not simple. You want simple, and it's not simple. Next for Alcaraz would be Dan Evans, if the rankings were to prevail. Dan Evans just won Washington, finally playing some better tennis. He has the style of game where he's smart, and he knows he could play Alcaraz not in just a baseline ball bashing contest where he's definitely going to lose. He can play in other ways. He can change it up. So can Alcaraz, obviously. So if Alcaraz plays his best, there's not really an issue there. But that's a seed. That's a seed in the third round, 26th seed. And then he will probably play either Cam Norrie or Talon Griekspoor. Most likely Cam Norrie. That's another seed. That's a 16 seed. That's the fourth round. And then in this quarterfinals, he's either playing Jannik Sinner or Alexander Zverev, probably. So what do you guys think about that? To me, that is, it's not the hardest quarter of all time, but I think having Sinner there, like I said, makes it very interesting. And I said in my preview, in the tweet I put out earlier, it's sad to see those guys in the quarters. You would like to see those guys play in the semifinals, I think, based on the level that they're at right now and the amazing match that they had last year that went well into the morning. But that's what these draws do. We get them in the same quarter. So dark horse in the Alcaraz quarter, I'm going to say is Sasha Zverev. I know he's not really a dark horse. He's a former top 4, top 3 player in the world. I'll put myself in there as title contender at majors. He's had championship points at this tournament before. He's going to be playing Vukic, and then he'll be playing Altmaier-Lestine. So he could definitely get 2 quick matches under his belt. And then he's got to play Dimitrov. He can definitely win that match. And then he might be playing Sinner. So that is a match where there's going to be probably more pressure on Sinner. And again, it's Sasha Zverev. You got to respect his game. He's at one point after he won the Olympics in 2021. There was a time there when I was like, nobody on earth is hitting the ball as good as Sasha Zverev is. So he's not there, but he's getting back there. He just was really close with Djokovic in Cincinnati. Didn't do it, but was really, Close. All right, let's go to the Andrei Rublev. Scratch that. Sorry, the Daniil Medvedev quarter. Excuse me, Daniil. Did not mean to disrespect you there, but we had Daniil Medvedev, the 3 seed. Quiet. He's been kind of quiet in this little hard court season so far, which is historically his favorite, best, most successful time of the year. So have players figured him out? Has he dropped a little bit of his desire? What's been going on? I don't know. But I do know who the dark horses is, and we've got 3 of them, in my opinion, in this quarter. So my dark horse, Gael Monfils, right there. That's a tricky opponent. He just beat Tsitsipas, if I believe, in Toronto. Rublev could play Monfils in round 2. He's not happy about that. I'll tell you that for free. Matteo Berrettini, another dark horse, unseeded, plays Ugo Humbert, and that's one of my first round matches to watch as well. Again, he's in that Rublev's little section of the quarter. So the lowest seed of the top 8 is there, and he's got Monfils right there. He's got Berrettini right there. And then I've got Jack Draper as a little dark horse as well. Now, I chatted with Jack in Winnipeg this last weekend, where he lost in the quarterfinals, I believe, of the Challenger. So that's obviously not a great result for him, but he is coming back from injury. And man, when I was watching that guy practice, he's got a huge game. He's super strong. And yeah, it was really cool to watch his power up close and personal. So he played well last year. He beat Felix Auger-Aliassime in, I believe, the 4th round last year. Maybe even the second round, I think. And he's obviously a great player. He's really top. He's a top 30 player. He should be seated here, but he's had a bad year with injuries. So he's another dark horse. But let's look a little bit closer at Medvedev's his route. He's got Balazs from Hungary there, and then he's got Max Purcell, who's been playing great tennis. That could be tricky for him. But it is Daniil Medvedev at the US Open, so you got to give him some hope there. Borna Coric, 3rd round potentially for him. That's tough. And then either Nicholas Yari or Alex de Minaur. That's tough, 4th round, but it's always tough. So Medvedev really has a great draw to reach the semifinals, be deep in a tournament. And he would feel, I'm sure he would believe that if he were to play Alcaraz in the semifinals, it would not be just a repeat of the Wimbledon semifinals where Alcaraz rolled him in 3 sets. And it was really, much stronger. Alcaraz seemed out of Medvedev's level on the grass, and that was interesting to see. But this is going to be different, I believe, as it's the US Open. They've both won it. They're the 2 previous defending champions. So that would be super interesting to see as a semifinal. Let's go to the 3rd quarter. The the Holger Rune quarter, where he's got Holger Rune and Casper Ruud. They seem to be getting put together after the beef they had at last year's French Open. Interesting. Love to see it. I'll go back to see some of the first round fire matchups that I have noted down. Casper Ruud, though, plays a qualifier. He's defending champ. So there's going to be, or defending finalist. So there's going to be a lot of points and pressure riding on him. He plays Casper Ruud, or Casper Ruud plays a qualifier, and then JJ Wolf or Jinshen Zhang. That's a tough 2nd round for him. And it doesn't get any easier. Although Sebastian Korda just pulled out of the tournament that's at Wake Forest. I forget the name of the tournament that he was just in, rolling his ankle. So he could play Korda, but if Korda's not playing there, then it's pretty open. Excuse me. Adrian Manarino, 22 seed, France's TFO. So then for the 4th round, Casper Ruud's playing France's TFO. And in my opinion, that's locked up. Like, they're neck and neck. Francis has so much experience at the US Open, has played great here before, lost a super close one to Carlos Alcaraz last year. So that's, super tough match for Casper. That's a great quarter for TFO to be in. This is the quarter of opportunity. I put a question mark beside the Rune quarter, because obviously Rune is like 21. Casper Ruud had made the final last year, but again, a lot of these players in this quarter are going to be feeling good about their opportunity, or they're going to be feeling like they have an opportunity to progress. Tommy Paul, 14 seed in that quarter as well. Davidovich, Fokina, Bublik, Dominic Thiem, who is my dark horse. And some of you are probably thinking, what are you talking about? Dark horse? That's just wishful thinking. Well, maybe. But he did go super close with Stefanos Tsitsipas at Wimbledon. That was a great match. And I really have felt like if Dominic Thiem can get 2 major wins back to back, he can really start to flow again. And he just hasn't had that. It's crazy. He hasn't had that in like a year and a half. But he is my dark horse in this quarter because no one else is really dark. Everyone else is like, we know about them. So Dominic Thiem's there. Holger Rune plays Carballes Baena, and then he could play Karatsev or Lehechka, and then he could play Shelton, Thiem, or Bublik, or Pedro Kachin. So tough little section there for Holger Rune, who's had a little bit of a rough go on the hard court, being in North America. Now let's go to the Djokovic quarter. The number 2 seed, he's got Stefanos Tsitsipas in his section, his quarter of the draw. Stefanos Tsitsipas is now the 7th seed. He is now fully fallen from his perch in the top 4 that you were just used to seeing him in. So Novak Djokovic, can Stefanos Tsitsipas even remotely play in his level? A lot of you aren't thinking that. I already know that a lot of you are not thinking that. People didn't think that I was on it when I said, I think during the Canadian Masters when Tsitsipas lost to Monfils, I said he's had a terrible year. He does not want to be 7 in the world. I'm talking about when Tsitsipas first came back on the tour, and we were like, this guy is the next member of the big 3, basically. We were talking about him, or at least I was, like we were almost like we've been talking about Alcaraz until he won a major. Really, he was supposed to be like the next golden child of tennis, and he's not gotten there yet. Since 2021 Roland Garros final with Djokovic, he hasn't been the same player. So we'll see. If they both make the quarterfinal, that could be super interesting. We'll see again, but it's gonna be too tough. Tsitsipas has dropped in his stature and my expectation of him a lot. Looking at Djokovic's route, let's take a look at Djokovic's route. On the bottom there, you can see it. Follow along as I go through my paper copy. He plays Alexandre Muller from France. Then he could play Ethan Quinn of the USA, and then he could play Laszlo Djere of Serbia. That's a seed, but still, those 3 matches I could almost go without watching. I will watch it because it's going to be a great time for me, but I could almost go without watching those because those are so simple. And then he's going to play either Felix Auger-Aliassime, who's having the worst slump of his life, or Francisco Cerundolo, who's a great player. Still, that's a good 4th round for Djokovic, if you ask me. Out of everyone he could have played, that's a good 4th round for him. And then he's got, like we said, Stefanos Tsitsipas or Taylor Fritz in the quarters. Now, Taylor Fritz should be a serious threat, but we have seen him crumble in tournaments where he has a lot of expectation on him before, like at the US Open last year when he came in with great form, couldn't get it going. So Djokovic, to me, has an extremely, extremely high chance of making the final. Even the semifinals, it's going to be Holger Rune or Casper Ruud or TFO or Paul. I mean, TFO versus Djokovic in the semifinals of the US Open. I mean, that's what dreams are made of, isn't it? The home crowd, American favorite, with the rowdiest crowds in the world, with all the history that they have with Djokovic, that would be absolutely crazy. But yeah, my dark horse in this section of the draw is Milos the Missile Raonic of Canada playing Tsitsipas in round 1. Upset alert, Tsitsipas. With the way Milos can serve, Tsitsipas can lose to a lot of players right now. That is going to be tricky. That is going to be seriously tricky. My other dark horse is Felix Auger-Aliassime. Again, you're going to think wishful thinking. I've got a connection to him. I'm overthinking this. We're Canadian. Yeah, probably. No one's thinking about him as a threat to go deep in this tournament because of how bad he's been all year, basically. But he's got, if he can get through Mackenzie McDonald, he's got a qualifier and then Delian. And then he's got Francisco Cerundolo, who he knows he can beat. I believe he lost to him in Australia, but he knows he can beat him. And then if he can play Djokovic, that's the type of match that can bring out your best level again. That can inspire you. And I would love to see that for Felix. So yeah, that's also Mackenzie McDonald, Felix Auger-Aliassime, Tsitsipas, and Raonic. Those are my matches to watch in that quarter. So that's the men's draw. That is a preview of the men's draw. If I had to pick a winner right now, I would go with Djokovic. I'm still leaning Djokovic. I do think Carlos Alcaraz has the higher level of tennis available to him now. I think he's the best player on earth. I'm just going to say that. I think after Wimbledon and then after Cincinnati, even though he lost that match, there was many things that happened in that match where he was clearly in the lead. He got distracted. Djokovic got back in it, and then Carlos cut his hand when he was slamming a bench. He then started to cramp potentially in the tiebreaker, stretching out his fingers, and then there was even a let court on the match point. So that was weird. I'm not convinced that Djokovic is at his level again yet, but at the majors, I'm still Djokovic has won 23. Alcaraz has won 2. The numbers lean towards Djokovic still, even if Carlos Alcaraz just beat him in the final of Wimbledon. So Djokovic is my pick. My pick, though, is really to have Alcaraz and Djokovic in the final. I'm signing up for that now. Yeah, that would be huge for tennis. Anyways, let's go to the women's. We've got Iga Swiatek. We've got Coco Gauff in the same half. We talked about it. We've also got Rybakina. We've got Sabalenka. And we're going to take a look at all of it right now. So let's pull it up. Where are you? Little draw. Women's singles draw. Let's get after it. Top quarter. Iga Swiatek quarter. Plays Peterson first. Who else is in that quarter? You already heard about it. Coco freaking Gauff. Wins Washington and then wins Cincinnati. This girl is on an absolute heater. Coco Gauff playing the best tennis of her career, converting, finishing it, beat Swiatek in Cincinnati, and she now has the confidence to do it. She didn't, she made the final of the French Open. She couldn't get it done, but now she couldn't play her best tennis. She felt exposed. She just beat Swiatek though, so now she has the belief for sure. She's beat her over 3 sets. Women only play 3 sets at the U.S. Open, so that will be super interesting to see how Coco Gauff fares. And she's got Mira Andreeva, like the 12-year-old in her section there. How will Coco Gauff handle the pressure? That's the question. She's got Mertens in her little 16th, and then she's got Petra Kvitova in her 8th, and she's obviously got Swiatek in her quarter. So that is going to be a super interesting quarterfinal if that were to happen. We've got a lot of tennis to play before that, though. We've got Elina Rybakina from Kazakhstan. I'm saying that so perfectly. Plays Marta Kostyuk in the first round. Got Ayla Tomljanovic there. She's in the draw with Maria Sakkari, who I believe also... Let me just check this out. One second here. I believe Sakkari... I'm just trying to pull this up. She just had a good result, though, I believe. The City Open making the final. That's a good result for her. She lost in the first round of Wimbledon, so that was a good way to follow it up. But then she lost in the first round of the Canadian Open and the second round of Cincinnati. So, yeah, I wouldn't count. I still don't have much faith in Maria Sakkari. No offense, Maria Sakkari. Bencic, number 15 seed. Mukova, 10th seed, top 10 in the world. Now, they are both also in that quarter. And Caroline Garcia, number 7 seed. She's in the third quarter along with number 3, Jessica Pegula. Pegula, who just won the biggest title of her career in Montreal. She beat Swiatek. She beat Samsonova. She beat Coco Gauff in that tournament. So she's got a lot of great form and confidence. as the number 3 seed in her section of the draw. She plays Camila Giorgi first, and she's got Svitolina in her little 16th there. So Vondrousova, the Wimbledon champ, also in that quarter. So that's a pretty talent-packed quarter. Bianca Andreescu in that quarter, and Leylah Fernandez. We could have a Canadian matchup in the second round. Wouldn't that be just savage? That would be pretty crazy as well. Anyways, bottom quarter now. Aryna Sabalenka's corner. Aryna Sabalenka. Can she make it 2 majors in 2023? She already won the Australian Open, as we know. She's got Wimbledon finalist Ons Jabeur in her quarter. That's interesting. That's interesting again. She's also got Tsitsipas's girlfriend, Paula Badoza, former top tenor, in her 8th of the draw as well. So that's interesting. I don't know what else to say about that. There's lots of great players everywhere. It's just a fantastic draw, as all majors are. I can't wait until the action gets underway in Flushing Meadows. We will touch base with you on Sunday or Monday when the action really gets going. But that is a very high level view of the US Open men's and women's draw. To me, the interesting things are, to recap, Swiatek and Coco Gauff in the same quarter, in the top corner with Rybakina. Sabalenka is hanging out in the bottom. She's not like she's easy. You got Jabeur, Pegula playing super good tennis. I think the top 6 players for sure, not in any order, but are Swiatek, Sabalenka, Rybakina, Pegula, Coco Gauff, all playing very, very good tennis right now, all very, very hard to beat. And then on the men's side, you've got, like we said, potentially a 2-man race, but there's guys like Medvedev and Sinner, and maybe Tsitsipas if he finds some of the inspiration that he came on to the tour with. Maybe there's a chance that he can upset the 2-man show from happening. But I think most of us tennis fans are trying to buy a ticket for the final that involves Alcaraz and Djokovic, aren't we? Anyways, so that's the slice on the US Open 2023 with our friends Go Sport. Enter the draw below. Thanks you guys for being here, and we will see you next time